Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of the DC Universe Annotated podcast. Now, today, just to get our topics out of the way before we kind of, get into the I guess pre-topic stuff. So we are going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984 going to HBO Max. It's probably the biggest news altogether, just because it's a huge surprise. Then after that, we're going to talk about some of the new information and the trailer we received for the Zack Snyder or Justice League Director's Cut trailer, which will be coming on HBO Max next year. Then Green Lantern, HBO Max showed details for the characters specifically. And last but not least, this interesting news about a Wonder Girl series that will be reportedly, I guess, go to CW more likely than not, but it'll be featuring a Latina Wonder Woman, which is definitely very interesting. So yeah, those are our topics for today. And I guess before we get into it, it would be terrible of me to not introduce the person I'm joined with today. Jorge, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
It's really early for me. So I got my coffee. I'm hoping I don't look too bummish today. For those who are watching the video segments and stuff like that, since I'll be on cam for it. But I'm wearing my Superman Man of Steel inspired hat so I have something DC. You know what I mean? It was either that or I wear a pink hoodie, but I didn't really think the pink hoodie kind of conveyed DC. So I wanted to do to at least wear something that had DC characters or something on it. Um, but yeah, that's how I'm doing. I guess before we really get into any topics, which topic most interests you so far? Like before we get into it.
Uh, really, I'm really curious to talk about the Wonder Woman 1984 release because it's very interesting that they chose to release it through HBO Max because it kind of feels like a last resort for them. But you know, just yeah, it's very interesting that they did that move.
Yeah. And if anyone hears like that crying noise in the background, that's just my cat. She's been very needy lately. So I don't know, for whatever reason, she does that when she plays, I guess. Like, like the toy mice or whatever. Like she'll have like toy mouse in her a toy mouse in her mouth. And she'll just be like running around crying left and right. You'll think she's dying or something. Um, but anyways, let's just get right into it. So HBO Max decided to push Wonder Woman 1984 onto, or not HBO Max, Warner Bros. Decided to push Wonder Woman 1984 to HBO Max. Now, this is really interesting for three big reasons, in my opinion. First off, because they kept saying beforehand, this was going to be theatrical release. This movie is made for theaters, should be viewed in theaters. That's how it's going to be done. And they'd been pushing it back several times. So, at this point, no one had a reason to believe they wouldn't just push it back again because no one's going to fault you for it. With COVID and all that stuff, every other theater is pushing their stuff back. Marvel's pushing their stuff back. So it makes sense. So that was one thing. The other thing was the fact, this movie was following up a very successful first Wonder Woman. So it's not
Yeah.
like it was, let's say, a sequel to Birds of Prey, you know what I mean? Which, overall you could argue underperformed in some aspects. It's not like this was a sequel to a mediocre film by any means. This movie was, I'm not saying it would break $1 billion like Aquaman did, but it was probably going to gross a lot of money, more likely than not. So that's the second thing, which is why it's really surprising. And I guess the third thing about this, which definitely caught me off guard, is the fact they're not charging extra for it. So if you have HBO Max, you'll be able to watch it on Christmas with your family at home. I know they're going to try releasing it in theaters and other territories, but at least in the United States, you'll be able to watch it at home if you have HBO Max. So they're definitely trying to drive viewership for that. But I just find that interesting because you counteract that with Disney, and Disney, when they did Mulan, still charged you like an extra 20 or something dollars, 20 or I think it was $30 on top of having a Disney Plus subscription. So, yeah, it's very interesting they're doing it this way. Definitely they care, I guess, more about getting eyes on it and HBO Max subscriptions versus, I guess, trying to get another buck, so to speak. But I mean, like, what do you think about this?
Basically, what I think about this is like, I think they're trying to avoid what Disney did because obviously they saw the negative impact that it saw with the company. Because a lot of people were calling out Disney saying, "Oh, they're just money hungry because they're putting out a movie that truthfully wasn't even that good for $30." And the argument was because that's usually the price you would pay to go see a movie in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think what Warner Brothers thought process here was they're not going to charge an extra $30 or so for movie theater price. And I say that in air quotes because why would you pay movie theater price if you're not going to go to a movie theater and watch at home?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's successful in a way for us, or a win for us as fans, because we get to see the movie at home, but also a loss because we're not going to be able to see the movie the way it's intended to be. Well, in some areas, I don't know if other areas will have movie theaters open by then, but hopefully it does.
Yeah.
But I think it just looked back and saw how other people were doing it and just decided, that kind of failed. So we could just basically do the opposite. And it looks like I think they're getting good feedback off it just based off what I'm seeing through like Twitter and other social media platforms. So I think it's good on their part that they went this route.
Yeah, I agree. So, Variety wrote an interesting article about this, and they're basically talking about how Warner's has already kind of been slapped on the wrist, or not wrist, sorry, they've been slapped on the wrist trying to be a little too aggressive, when they did Tenet. Since they tried releasing Tenet, didn't really work out. And, other major films like Disney's Soul is going to be coming out on Disney Plus. Then you have No Time to Die, the recent James Bond film, which has been pushed back several times. They tried getting that, I think, on Netflix or Amazon, but the studio wanted too much money for it, so none of the streaming services opted to buy it. But it's a clear sign that a lot of these movie studios are just kind of thinking at this point, we got to bite the bullet, because you can't have, let's say, all these 2020 movies not come out, and then you're trying to, in an already clouded, or not clouded, but crowded 2021, 2022 kind of release schedule arena. I mean, adding that many 2020 movies to it is going to be maybe more counterproductive than productive for some of these studios that know they have a lot of releases coming. So that real estate of having a proper release window is really important. I mean, you don't want to compete with yourself. You're just going to hurt yourself. Now, with Warner's in particular, the problem with that is they were saying in this Variety article that the studio is obviously aware of the situation, with the fact that this movie was filmed, it finished post production in 2018. This is almost 2021 at this point.
Yeah.
So, they don't want something to happen where basically the movie is forgotten. It's, as they put in quotation, stale, because, if you waited until 2021, that's basically like 4 years since the first Wonder Woman movie came out. And there's still no guarantee movie theaters will be, normal at that point, right? So that's definitely a problem right there. Um, at the same time, HBO Max has been having issues in terms of having, proper content, new content to really, get people coming to the streaming service. I mean, if you look at Netflix, if you look at Disney Plus, I mean, Disney Plus is not having a similar issue, because when they launched, people complained Disney Plus didn't have anything to really grab people. Disney Plus released Hamilton, which was like a huge success, I think, for Disney Plus. I know I enjoyed watching it on there, but then now they also have, they had a few original shows and movies come out, but for big things, they have WandaVision coming out in January. Then they're going to have the Falcon and Winter Soldier come out. So you have that huge Marvel crowd. Currently, as a recording, The Mandalorian's coming out. So you have that. I mean, HBO Max is really having issues, from what I was reading, having stuff to really attract people, to really want to come subscribe to their service. So I definitely think this would be helpful in that regard, and that seems to be what they're going for. They say basically it's less about driving just new subscribers as much as it is about getting people to know that HBO Max really exists, because you have people who would pay for HBO Max and they don't use it, or they just don't really even think about it, since there's all these different streaming services. Especially for HBO. You got like HBO Now, Go. There's probably an HBO Plus. You know what I mean? There's just too many different things.
Yeah, like when you kind of think about it too, like it's it's kind of noble what Warner Brothers is doing because at the end of the day, this is like what, like a $200 million movie, like that they made, and by putting it through HBO Max, they're definitely losing money off this deal, just to like help get the hype of HBO Max because a lot of people know that, or they know that a lot of people are gonna want to sign up for HBO Max just to watch the movie, which I think is pretty fair to you because it's like what you can cancel anytime, and it's like what, like $7 a month, I think, for HBO
Yeah.
Max. Yeah, so it's like you could basically watch the movie for $7. Just go in, make your account, pay the $7 for the month, watch the movie, and then cancel it, and you basically watch a movie for $7 that you can usually pay like $30 at a movie theater to watch. And so, like, I feel like this is kind of like a almost like a long term plan that's going to help them, and obviously in the long run with a bunch of other DC shows and DC movies coming out on HBO Max because they want people to sign up, and so I think by doing this, Wonder Woman is like the perfect first step to getting the audience into HBO Max because by doing so, they can see that like all the other DC stuff is on there because, like you said, the Marvel fan base has Disney Plus to go off of, DC Universe or DC fan base. Now we need something to go off to go watch our shows and stuff like that. So, and I think HBO DC is trying to make HBO Max that home for DC fans. And like I said before, I think Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be like the perfect first step for it. Since again, it's like a movie you would pay top dollar for to watch in the movie theater, and you're getting it at the price of $7. So I think it's a good first step for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to note that, there are other things that unfortunately the lack of release for this movie is holding back. Like they announced they announced that they are going to do a sequel. So they're going to do a Wonder Woman 3. But I'm sure, you can only do so much until this movie comes out and you get to see the reception of this movie and how people like this or that about whatever the characters are or the setting, whatever it is, right? Like you don't want to write the third movie if everything about the second movie is despised. At the same time, they're going to do an HBO Max spinoff called Amazons, I believe, which is basically just about the Amazons, with the director Patty Jenkins set to direct, I think, the pilot, but she's also going to be like an executive producer for the entire series. And she says it won't be, oh no, it will be a spin-off. It'll be like a spin-off slash prequel in some ways, I think. They haven't released too much info about it. But originally it was going to be an Amazon movie. But instead, oh wait, no, never mind. Sorry, I was wrong. It is an Amazon's movie. It's not a HBO Max TV series. I'm thinking about something else that they're doing a spin-off TV show for. But I mean, so that, you know what I mean? Like probably some stuff in this movie may lead into the Amazon's movie. And in the same way, with the third movie, and plus, I'm sure there's implications, not for the Zack Snyder Justice League, but I'm sure there's other implications in terms of the DC slate in general. You know what I mean? In terms of what are their future plans for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman? Are they going to do a Wonder Woman 3 and then wrap it up? That's it? Are they going to, there's been rumors that she's going to be in the Flash movie because they're going to be adapting Flashpoint. So, I mean, I'm curious about that kind of stuff, but I'm sure a lot of it's up in the air until this movie from 2 years ago finally comes out. And I hope it's really good. I really do, because they have a really good cast. And I mean, it feels like this movie's just been around forever. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah.
New Mutants in that way, where like they made it 2-3 years ago and it's finally coming out now. And I just hope, unlike New Mutants, Wonder Woman 1984 is actually good.
Yeah, no, definitely agree on that because I've actually been waiting for the release of this movie for a while too, and it's just like kind of sucks that we're not gonna be able to see it in theaters, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm happy that we're gonna be able to watch it at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, do you have any last minute things on this topic before we move on to the next one?
Um, no, not really. Not about Wonder Woman herself. Actually, just I just will say this that I do think this HBO release is going to lead to obviously other DC exclusive releases,
Mhm.
and so like you said, like with the new Amazon movie, I think that's going to be like the first thing that's going to keep the audience to keep that subscription every month or so for HBO Max.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it for this episode. Thanks for checking it out. Let us know what topic was your favorite and your guys' thoughts about each topic as well, because I mean, we covered like a variety of different things. I mean, in hindsight, I think my favorite topic is probably this TV show that we were
Yeah,
just talking about, the Wonder Girl TV show, just because it's such a new character. Um, there's no definitive canon, so to speak. So you could do whatever you want,
right.
which is kind of refreshing, honestly. You don't have any situations where any decision you make with Barry or Iris, like in the Flash show, fans will be upset because you're contradicting this or that. Same thing for Arrow. Um, I mean, you have none of that baggage, basically, which was kind of nice. But I mean, what do you think? What was your favorite topic?
Uh, Personally, my favorite topic was actually the Wonder Woman 1984, just because like I think it's just a great direction that DC's taking with the way they're going to release movies and potentially other movies in the future, just to like get the hype up for HBO Max because HBO I've been an HBO guy since like I don't know how long. Like it's filled with great shows, all that kind of stuff, and I'm super glad like DC is
Mhm.
coming to the platform, and I think Wonder Woman's just a really great like introduction for more DC fans to welcome to the platform.
Nice. Nice. All right, cool. Well, thanks for checking out this episode, everybody. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Peace.